Okay, to begin, I want to say there's a reason why I record in my car. It's because I don't really have a lot of places I can go and record in private. So that's why I'm in my car. And when I'm at work, my car's parked. I just work next to a highway, so that's why you hear traffic. I don't drive and record. But anyways, I wanted to get on topic of trying to do the books of the Bible as I read them and the chapters within. But I'm already on Leviticus. So I started reading the Bible about 2.5 weeks ago. Every single day. Staying in the Word. So Genesis was basically about, Genesis was a cool chapter. There's a lot of begots, like Adam begot Cain, and then begot um, Abel. But I read a King James Version, and it's a spiritual warfare Bible. So it doesn't say begots in it. It says he was the father and had Cain and then Abel and things like that. And some people get bored when it comes to Genesis. It's a cool book. It's wild. There's a guy named Jared. He lived to be like 962 years old. 38 years away from being 1,000. And other people might say, oh, well, then, with creation, they were having sex with family members. But you have to understand, get out of that thought process in your mind. Nowadays, yes, of course, it's like not just frowned upon, it's wrong. But back when Adam and Eve were created, they had the purest bloodline. The purest bloodline. So when you think about it, yes, we're all brothers and sisters. We're all children of God. So don't think it was just, they're having incest. It was a pure bloodline, hadn't been diluted through sin and perversions. Excuse me. Alright, so there was some pretty cool people back in that day. The only guy in the through the book of Genesis, and I was reading up on, taking notes on how old these people lived to be. Hundreds and hundreds of years. I'm talking 900 years old. 900s were the norm. Between 850 to 950 was the norm. I don't know if I'm correct in quoting this, but I believe Jared was the one I read that he lived to be 962. And the youngest in that book, I believe, was Enoch. Because God was just like, he lived to be like 340 something years old, I think. Somewhere in his 300s, mid 300s. Yeah, go ahead, figure that one out. Can you imagine if that was normal today? Yeah, he went early. It was mid 300s, but he didn't die. And God was like, I see what the world is becoming. And Enoch walked with God so well that God was like, yeah, I'm taking you. You're like my little, you know how you're not supposed to choose favorites in your children? We all know that we might have a favorite here and there. God looked at Enoch's like, hey, come on home, brother. I'm taking you out of this environment right now. But anyways, so that was basically the book of Genesis for me, that I got out of it with Enoch and all the begots and, of course, Cain sinning and everything like that. And then came the book of Exodus. Now, Exodus, that's a wild book. You know that Moses, he's a bit of a whiner. Uh, he I wouldn't say a whiner. He didn't have a lot of faith in either himself or in God in the beginning when he ran away after killing the Egyptian, because he would always ask God, is there anybody else but me? Or he would say something like, how can I speak to these people? I'm not good with the tongue and things like that. So God actually appointed and had Aaron. Can't remember who Aaron is. Forgive me if I can't recall off of my top of my head. I am reading through from cover to cover of the Bible. And I'll get more in depth after I read the whole thing. But I can't remember off of one read. everybody and their relationships. I do know Aaron is significant to Moses, but I think it might have been his brother-in-law or something like that. I'm not sure. No? But anyways, that's besides the point. So Aaron was always with Moses, even through the 10 plagues of Egypt and all these other things. Aaron was with Moses. And God worked through Moses and Aaron. Not just Moses. See, I didn't even know that. I grew up in a Baptist type of church as a child. Although my parents didn't go like you would think they would have gone. They didn't go as much. But it wasn't like some people would call Bible thumping family. It's not like that. But through all the movies I've seen and the kids shows I've seen and the storybooks I've learned in Bible school and Sunday school and things like of that nature, or just hearing people talk about it in general, it was always just about Moses. Aaron played an equal part in that. The interpretation and everything else, side by side with Moses through the whole thing. And I didn't know that until I started getting in my word. And I tell you what, man, it's like anything in this world nowadays. If you want to learn something, you have to go out and seek the knowledge for yourself. Do not go off of what somebody says, not even your pastor. Because there are false teachers out there. And their opinions and things. You take it at face value. You listen to it. You listen to like a sermon from a pastor, and you can take that and how they interpret it, because their relationship may be stronger with God than yours. But someday you may supersede theirs. But you don't know. But you need to go and find the information out for yourself by reading your word every single day. Like I said in my first video, every day read your word. It's like if you wanted to know about any information, school zones or movies reviews, it doesn't matter what you look in your life or what you go to try to find out. You either Google it or read it yourself. You can't just go off of what somebody else says, because then you can't definitively say, I know this for a fact. Now I can tell you for a fact, for me, not for you watching, you need to go read it yourself, so you can't take it off my word. You can't say, oh, I learned that there was a guy named Aaron that stood side by side with Moses through the whole event and had an equal part in helping Moses fulfill God's word. And you don't go off and say, oh, I heard it from a guy off YouTube. No. They say, how do you know? How do you know that? You can say, I read it out of the book. Sorry, y'all, I gotta start my car. It's hot. I just know that the AC can sometimes be a little bit loud in my speakers. So, anyways. Yeah, so that was the book. Well, there's a lot more in Exodus that I got from it, but I'm gonna save that for another video, because I don't really want these things running out more than 10 minutes, because I have a tendency of ranting on and on and on. I could talk for hours, literally. If I had an audience, I can listen for hours. Yes, but God is good. God is great. Have a little bit of faith. Not much. If you're watching this video, it's because you chose to click on it. The smallest, even smaller than that could fit between my fingers. And there's probably an atom in there that can fit in my fingers, somewhere, maybe tiny. The smallest amount of faith, and just start reading your word. And leave a comment. Let me know. I tell you what, it'll change your life. It's changed mine. I'm just now done with my schoolwork. Yes, I work full time, and I do schoolwork. But I'll never sacrifice those two things for reading my word. I wake up early to make sure I have 30 minutes to read the word before I get out of my car and go to my job. Gotta have the word. I feel sluggish and down and out if I don't read my word. But anyways, I'm gonna call this video the recap of Genesis and Exodus of what I got. So I didn't want to get too far in these videos And they say, oh, here's what I pulled out of Leviticus, you know. And you're like, well, what happened to the first 2 books? Okay, well, here they are. These are very short. So what I got out of the 2 books. I can get more in depth with the plagues of Egypt and things like that, but everybody knows those stories. Everybody already knows those. Heck, I mean, there's a lot of things in that book of Exodus that I didn't know. Aaron's one of them. But anywho, yeah, and Moses was a whiny type of person in the beginning. He didn't have a lot of faith. Oh, and here's something interesting. People are hard-headed. Though, when they got the children of God, when they got, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, Israel. Those are the children that were in Egypt that were being oppressed by the Pharaoh that Moses delivered out of Egypt to the promised land. Those people are hard-headed. They turned their back and started bickering and complaining to one another and to Moses all the times. They disobeyed over and over. And did you know that God went before them in a cloud during the day and by a cloud of fire by night? When people say, oh, there was the God came down in a fire to separate the Egyptians from the people, the children of Israel, or not Israel, from the children that Moses had brought out of the promised land, or brought out of Egypt. That wasn't the only time God had the flame. He was in front of them, leading them at night. And then when the Egyptians came, God went from in front of the children and all the people and went in between the Egyptians to block their way. And then went by cloud in the day, flames by night. I didn't know that. The only time I knew that there was a wall of fire was in the nursery rhymes, or not nursery rhymes, that'd be wrong, Bible study school as a child. No, God showed himself to these people all the time, and they still were hard-headed and disobeyed. I'm like, what? People nowadays, if they saw a miraculous miracle like that in the works of God, we would be all shocked at the society that we are nowadays and how depraved we've become and wicked. If we saw a sign like that, it'd be bizarre. And yet these people saw him for weeks, trudging through the desert with God leading them in the day and night, and they still disobeyed. What? Anyways, this is a 13 minute long video. I'm done. I hope you guys have a wonderful and blessed day. God bless. Here's something. Spread the word. I'm gonna adopt that slogan. Spread the word. You know, spread the word of the word. Spread the word. Double entendre. Okay. God bless. Have a wonderful day.